Culturally, we have students from all over the world that come in to Atlanta. We have students from Africa, from Asia, from Mexico. I think the last we counted, they speak over 20 languages at our school. Our children are Title I kids who live in poverty, don't have as much, and education is so very important to them. And so I just have a real passion for that population of children. When I first came to Brumby, Madison Hills was one of our largest apartment complexes with about 200 of our children there. The police had shut it down several times for prostitution rings, for crime, for drugs, and the children that were living there were in a crisis situation.
When we were trying to get our renovation permit, the county would not give us our permit. The reason why they would not was because the school was failing. And that had never occurred to me, the impact of an apartment community on a school. So after I was declined getting my permits from Cobb County, the next morning I knocked on the door of the elementary school and introduced myself and said, I'm the owner of the apartment community and I really want to help you turn your school around.
Marjy first approached me to partner with her to help rehabilitate Madison Hills, and we started working on how we could collaborate so that students are successful.
What makes a school fail is called transiency. Transiency is the number of students that leave every year, and it's hard for the teachers to teach the students if they're constantly moving. And that's the role that apartment communities play in a school's performance. If the landlord keeps raising the rents $50 or $100, the tenants can't afford it. So they move out, and when they move out, they typically take their children out of the school. So that was the impact that our property was really having.
At Madison Hills, I was privileged to be the program coordinator, which basically meant do a lot of playing with kids and having fun with them, but I also was able to do family and community-wide events, just to help to build that sense of community and belonging.
When this program started, it couldn't have been done without Kristen or without someone like Kristen.
Kristen was the big sister that some of those kids never had. Kristen put her heart into those children.
One of the cool things I saw were because of the kids being together in after-school program and developing those friendships, even if they may be in some instances were in different grades, those parents began to get to know each other. So those parents supported each other. If maybe somebody's gonna get home late, well, I'm supposed to pick up, these two kids too, and the parents could call me, say, hey, can they go, with them? So kids still didn't have to go home by themselves.
I think our students were personally impacted every day through the after-school program. We were doing a great job with test scores. They were continuing to increase every year. We saw an increase in student participation, students really wanting to do better in school, wanting to participate in after-school activities, and really working to do their very best to be successful.
So working with our program, Brumby, over time, became a Title I School of Distinction. And we were not aware of that until 2014 when we went back to Dr. Ritchie and were asking her, did our program really have an impact on your school? And she said, yes, Marjy, we became a Title I School of Distinction because of your program.
Crime decreased in the time that the management company took over Madison Hills. We saw a huge decrease in our student behavior issues that we were having before.
An after-school program in a workforce community is stabilizing because the children have a place to go after school, and the parents do not have to worry about where their children are after school, and therefore are a little bit more free to select better or maybe better paying jobs. So it helps the community in that manner.
Once the Madison Hills was bought out by the new company, They no longer had security, no longer had the after-school program. We began to see student behavior changing, and then we gradually began to see parents moving out because they had no place for their students to go after school. They began to see crime again. They began to see some of the same problems that were there before the management company had taken over.
When they closed the doors, they basically would not let us have access to the families, to the students. So it was a very abrupt ending to something that was creating so much impact and so much value for the community at large.
We were doing a great job with test scores. They were continuing to increase every year. After the change in management and the closing of the after-school program, our test scores began to decline.
By the time testing came up 4 months later, the elementary school had fallen 139 points in the state ranking.
But I think kind of the real moment of impact, I was at Kroger one day and one of my kids screamed, "Miss Kristen!" and like ran and gave me the biggest hug and started crying. I was like, oh my gosh. I think I cried, her mom cried, because it showed that this was more than an after-school program. You know, I had been given the very unique privilege to become a part of families. You know, I was able to be a part of something really special, and it was gone.